Someone once said that you can't go home again, but they lacked vision. And a temporal discombobulator.
We were given the chance to go back. Back to Azeroth as it was when we were younger. And for a little while, it felt like we had gotten something back. The world felt dangerous again. Leveling mattered, the journey mattered. But Classic, it kept moving. We went through the dark portal again. We sailed north again. Azeroth shattered again. And before we knew it, we were already back in Pandaria. When Blizzard gave us the chance to go back, why did going back have to mean taking the exact same road forward? What if it didn't? Now, before we go any further, I want to be very clear about what I mean by Classic Plus. I, and like many others, don't want Blizzard to just remake vanilla. I don't want Westfall or the story of Westfall rewritten. I don't want Duskwood redesigned, and I don't want old dungeons replaced or the original world destroyed. Keep vanilla exactly as it was. Every quest, every dungeon, every raid, everything, all the way through Naxxramas, remains exactly where we left it. Classic Plus needs to begin where Classic stopped. Kel'Thuzad himself has fallen, but nobody believes the Scourge has simply disappeared. Lordaeron is still devastated, the undead are still everywhere, and somewhere beyond, the master Kel'Thuzad served is still waiting. Now, after the events of Naxxramas play out, this is where history originally sent us through the dark portal. But what if we stayed? Because Azeroth wasn't finished. There were gates we had never opened, cities we could never enter, mountains we weren't supposed to climb, and entire worlds sitting just beyond our reach. Any one of these could become the beginning of Classic Plus. But there's one in particular that I think vanilla was already prepping us for. Classic wouldn't even need to invent this crisis, because something was already wrong with the Emerald Dream. 4 corrupted members of the Green Dragonflight had already emerged into Azeroth, and they appeared around 4 enormous great trees connected to the dream. So, after Naxxramas, don't open a new continent, just start small. Maybe strange reports begin arriving from around Azeroth itself. The Night Watch reports increasing Worgen activity. The Forsaken notice packs moving farther from Shadowfang. Druids stationed near Dreambow begin disappearing. Wildhammer scouts report strange activity around Ceridane. And Cenarian druids begin the investigations of the Bow Shadow. At first, these look like separate problems, until we realize they're all happening around the Emerald Dream itself. And this is where another unfinished vanilla mystery becomes important. The Worgen. Duskwood already has the mystery surrounding the Scythe of Elune. Silverpine already has Arugal, Shadowfang Keep, is filled with Worgen. But by the end of Vanilla, Arugal is dead. So, if the Worgen problem suddenly starts getting worse, then who's summoning them? Maybe nobody is. Maybe they're getting out. And this is where Warcraft's novels and comics can become incredibly useful. But I don't want Classic Plus just treating those stories like a checklist. Use them as a toolbox. Take characters, take history, take the forgotten lore, take answers to the mysteries Vanilla already introduced, but once Classic Plus branches away from Burning Crusade, let it branch. Eventually, the Druids realize this isn't something that they can contain any longer. The nightmare is getting worse. Worgen are appearing. The barriers around the dream are destabilizing. And Azeroth is already facing the looming threat of the Scourge. Azeroth needs its greatest druid. Except Malfurion isn't here. He's inside the Emerald Dream. So, Keeper Remulos, Tyrande, Hamul, Rune Totem, the entire Cenarian Circle begin trying to reach him. And eventually, they do, but something is wrong. And this is where one of the most forgettable items in Vanilla suddenly becomes incredibly important. Archdruid Fandral Staghelm asks adventurers to help research it. You collect it, you hand it over, and you get your reward. And you probably never think about it again. Except, somebody in Vanilla did. In Feathermoon Stronghold, there's another druid. And Quintus is suspicious. Very suspicious. He asks the player to speak with him about the work they're doing for Fandral. He tells us that Chandris Feathermoon and others have been discussing it. And before explaining anything else, he asks us to keep the conversations private. And then Quintus tells us why. He's a researcher, and curses are his specialty. And Fandral isn't just collecting a small handful of Morrograin. He's using the name and resources of the Cenarian Circle itself to acquire enormous quantities of it. Quintus has also heard that under the right conditions, Morrograin behaves similarly to herbs used in primitive curses. So, he asks us to gather samples for him. Think about that. Vanilla was already suspicious of Fandral. Years later, Warcraft would give us one possible answer. The novel Stormrage takes that Morrograin thread and connects it directly to what happened to Malfurion. And now, I'm not suggesting Classic Plus should just simply recreate that novel. I'm suggesting something much more interesting. Vanilla created the mystery, Vanilla gave us the suspicion, and then later, Warcraft lore gave Blizzard ingredients for an answer. But Classic Plus could be the one to finally finish the story. And here's the part that I love. Classic Plus doesn't need to change that original quest. We already collected it. We already handed it over. We already helped him. We just didn't know what we were helping him do. And even here, Classic Plus doesn't have to follow retail. Maybe Fandral knows exactly what he's doing this time. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe Xavius is still playing a role. Maybe something completely different is waiting inside the nightmare. We shouldn't know. That's the point. For the first time in 20 years, we wouldn't know what happens next. Meanwhile, the Worgen problem keeps getting worse. The dream is becoming more and more unstable. More Worgen are slipping through. And eventually, the trail leads somewhere players have been staring at since vanilla launched. Open the Greymane Wall, but don't give us Cataclysm's Gilneas. Give us the vanilla-inspired Gilneas. Except something is happening inside. People disappearing. Villages locking their doors at night. Rumors spreading about creatures moving through the forest. And the kingdom that built a wall to keep the world out is beginning to realize the threat may already be inside. And suddenly, opening Gilneas doesn't even end the Emerald Dream storyline. It expands it. The Worgen lead us back to the Druids of the Scythe. The Druids lead us back to the Dream. The Dream leads us back to Malfurion. Let Malfurion lead us somewhere else that vanilla never let us explore. Again, not Cataclysm's Mount Hyjal. Let it be vanilla's. Only a few years after the Battle of Mount Hyjal, the place where Archimonde himself fell, Nordrassil still recovering, Night Elves rebuilding, scars from the Legion still covering the mountain. And now, the Emerald Dream itself is beginning to bleed into reality. And here's what makes this so exciting for me. This is just one scenario, one story. We haven't opened Oldham. We haven't entered Grim Batol. We haven't explored what remains of Quel'Thalas. We haven't exhausted Karazhan. We haven't seen where the Scarlet Crusade could go after Naxxramas. We haven't even answered the biggest threat hanging over everything. The Lich King. That's what Classic Plus means to me. Don't replace vanilla, but continue it. Don't treat retail as the roadmap anymore. Treat the 20 years of Warcraft lore as inspiration. Use the novels, the comics, use Warcraft 3. Use the abandoned ideas that we never got to see come to fruition. Use the quests we've been ignoring for 20 years. Take Azeroth exactly as it stood when Naxxramas ended, and keep building. We already know what happens when we walk through the Dark Portal. We've done it. We know what happens in Northrend. We know what happens when Azeroth shatters. We've already walked that road. But there was another road. Behind walls we never opened, behind gates we couldn't cross, across the mountains we weren't meant to climb, and inside the worlds we could only glimpse. We got our chance to go back. Now, give us the chance to go forward.